All right, guys, we're going to take a look at a Timex Q reissue. This is a reissue from 1979 is when this one originally came out. So you're talking 40 years ago. They were making cool watches that we think are cool now. I'm assuming if Timex were to drop this one and it wasn't a reissue, if they were to release it today without any of the history behind it, we would still be like, man, that's a really good looking watch. So I honestly believe that it would be the case, because I don't think there's a bunch of people that are trading and buying these higher than their original listed price because of the history on it. I know that plays into it, but I really don't think that's the driving factor here. I think they're just straight up cool watches, and I think Timex is on a trend lately. I don't know who's running the show over there, or who's really making the calls when it comes to some of their designs, but they are doing some very cool stuff, and hopefully they continue that trend. It seems like they're pretty vested into really growing the brand again, bringing it back up. I'm sure if you look down the scale, there was probably a pretty good height, and then they slowly dropped off, and now they're climbing back up again. That's what it seems like to me anyway. But let's talk specifically about this watch. It comes in a nice display box and everything. Not over the top, but it is definitely nicer packaging than you're traditionally seeing with a Timex watch. Size-wise on this guy, it is a 38 millimeter case, lug to lug, if you will. Interesting case shape, but the lug to lug, the furthest points of the case here, you're looking at about 44.6 millimeter thickness, including that heavily domed acrylic crystal is 11.5 millimeter. And the lug width here, if you wanted to swap it out, you could. I mean, it would be, I'm not sure why you would, because I think this bracelet really fits the overall aura of the watch, but that's an 18 millimeter span opening there. And the bracelet is, it's old school. It's a reissue, but it's still pretty comfortable. I tossed it on wrist, it tapers down really nice. It's 18 up there, but it actually is flared out. So by the time you get down here, it's actually probably a little less than 18. I didn't measure that. Let's measure that real quick. It's actually just under 16 millimeter down here. So really nice and thin. Signed Timex fold over clasp there. So this will end up going like this when you get it on wrist. And you hook it in there, and then you lock that guy down in there. Very simple operation, works. It's plenty effective. Many watches have used that style. This is easy to adjust. You can, I don't know, I don't really have a screwdriver shaped fingernail, so you can just pry that up gently, and then you can move this, adjust this, lock it down to where you want it to be. Say I want it right there. I think that might be a good fit. In there somewhere, if I can get it. Gotta get it in the right grooves, but right there. Okay, so it locks down in. Push-pull crown, date. Beautiful blue dial with a red seconds hand. You can see there, really nice blue and red 12-hour bezel. It is a bi-directional smooth spinning. There's no clicks, so you're going to be able to line it up however you want. And really good finishing, polishing, brushing, all that good stuff. This does house a Seiko quartz movement. This is the PC33. While we're talking about that, I'll toss it on my wrist for you guys real quick. So the Seiko Quartz PC33 movement is it's used in a lot of watches. It's a pretty inexpensive movement. There you can see on my 7 1/4 wrist. I think it fits pretty dang good. I think because you're going to have that nice flare of the bracelet. You could definitely wear it on a smaller wrist, and you could wear it on a larger wrist. I think it's super comfortable. I have it loose on there right now, but I think that's a good looking watch. So back to that PC33 Seiko Quartz movement. There's no jewels. It's unadjusted or anything like that. It's just a standard quartz movement, run-of-the-mill, has the day-date function. I'll put a link to Esslinger in the description. They sell this movement for $8.95 to the general public. So an inexpensive movement. The overall production of this watch, I'm sure, is fairly inexpensive, but you guys got to remember there's design and tooling and all that stuff to get it all up and running. So that's what builds into the cost. Now, cost on this, when you ordered it directly from Timex, was $179, which, gasp, that's a lot of money, right, for the watch, okay? They sold out like pretty much right away. And now if you look around on the secondary market, these things are selling on the regular for like around $350, give or take. So, you can go to the Timex website. I'll put a link in the description, and you can say, email me when they come available again. I'm assuming they will. I'm not really sure what the quantity make of these were, if they're going to make more. I really don't know the production quantity on these. So you have the what they call a battery latch on the back here. So you can just pop this part here with a coin or something, and you can change the battery, put it back in there, and you're still going to maintain your 50-meter water resistance. If you did need to swap out the movement, you're going to have to pull these 4 screws, take the case back off, and pop the crown out, and you're going to have to do the dial and hand swap and all that stuff. Yeah, the movement's $8.95, but all the other parts add up too, and the labor to install them. So if you needed to full service it, but it's a Seiko quartz movement, it's probably going to last you a long time. I have had some Timex movements in the past totally crap out on me. I'm actually kind of happy they went with the Seiko quartz movement in this. Now, if you do hold this up to your ear, you can still hear that quartz tick to it. I've had plenty of Timex in the past, and they were quite audible, like to the point where I set it on my nightstand, and in the dark of night, you'd hear that thing just ticking away like loud. I don't think you're going to get that with this. You have to hold it up to your ear to get it. So it's a less, it's still audible, but like you have to get it closer to your ear to do it. It's not going to be like Timex loud ticking. So I think it was a smart move on their part. So this was lent in by Danny, a viewer of the channel. He's lent in a few watches. So big thanks to Danny for sending this guy in, because I really don't think I would have ever brought one in. I think it's really cool, but not cool enough for me to purchase. But I know there's a ton of people out there that are 100% on board with this particular model, whether it be for possible investment, which I don't recommend, especially at this price point. What are you really hoping to gain? But if you buy one, I think buy it to wear it. I think it's definitely a watch that you're going to want to wear, enjoy, and use it. I mean, that's kind of what the original intent of the 1979 release was, and I think you should treat this release the same way. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the next video. There is Loom on this. I'm not expecting miracles here, but there is Loom. So let's look at the Loom. Well, there is Loom. I'm not sure what formula they're using. It's even kind of hard for the camera to focus in on it, but it's not crazy bright, but it's not just immediately fading either. So I don't know if it's some decent application of C1 or what it is, but it's not fading away instantly like a lot of older Timex I've had on the channel. So it's holding, so it might hold for a few hours. All right, I'll see you on the next vid, guys.